Hey everyone, welcome back. David in History for the Ages here. So, another fun topic here, important topic. What is a tariff? It's something that's been in the news a lot. People, do we like them? Do we hate them? Unfortunately, very often becomes political. If whichever political party says we need to do tariffs, the other political party all of a sudden hates them, and vice versa. But tariffs, there's good and there's bad. And I'm going to kind of give you an objective definition of what tariffs are and then show you how they could be helpful and how they could be harmful depending on how they're used, with some historic examples as well. And so, in its basic level, what is a tariff? It's a tax. It's a tax placed on imports, things made overseas coming into your nation. And so, this is how it would work. You see this kind of little image here, and it says how a tariff works, right? It says in the United States, American made cloth costs $4 a roll. In Britain, let's say it also costs $4 a roll. So, in the United States, what you tell people is this: if you want to buy the cloth in the United States, it costs you $4. If you're buying the one made in Britain, we're going to put on this example 25% extra tariff, which adds an extra dollar to it, which would make it cost $5. So, one way tariffs could be positive is it protects domestic industries. What that means is if I'm living in the United States, obviously, what am I going to buy? The $4 cloth or the $5 cloth? Assuming they're both the same quality, right? You have to assume they're the same quality as well. And so, in some senses, what a tariff does do is encourage people to buy goods made in the country that's imposing the tariffs, right? Why would I buy it the other way? One of the things that Europe does, for example, is Europe puts a tariff on American made cars, something like 10%, I believe. And so if you're in Europe and you want to buy an American car, it's going to cost you more over there to buy an American car. So people are less likely to buy American cars and more likely to buy the cars made in Europe. So tariffs have been around for a very long time and people use them all over the world. So one tariff in the United States that was actually, I think, historically is considered very effective and a good use of tariff, and I'm going to give you examples of a bad use of tariff as well, was the Tariff of 1816. So this was right after the War of 1812. The Industrial Revolution in England is just about really going. It's starting to pick up some speed. And in the United States, we're a little bit behind. And there's a lot of new industries in the United States that without that tariff of 1816 may never have really had a chance to develop and grow and compete against British made goods. And so that's a tariff that probably did help the United States at the time, maintain some good products and encourage people to build industry at home and to develop industrialization at home, and was probably pretty effective. Another way tariffs can be a positive thing is that they could be used as a bargaining chip. Sometimes, honestly, it's like a game of poker, right? Right now, as I'm recording this in the news, President-elect Trump is talking about putting heavy tariffs on a bunch of countries in the world, and some of it is, it's a kind of gamesmanship. Is he bluffing? Is he not bluffing? Right? You don't know. And that's kind of the point. It's the idea is if I'm going to put a big tariff on, whatever's made in China or Canada or Mexico, then those countries have to think, hey, maybe I need to lower my tariffs. Right now, it could go the other way around. And if they call the bluff, so to speak, and we do put a high tariff on them, then they could put a high tariff on our goods, right? And then selling our goods and over there would be more expensive, which I'll get into the next slide here. But it could be used as a bargaining chip, and it could also be used for political leverage. I know one issue that President Trump is talking about is imposing tariffs on Mexico because he's concerned of the drugs that are coming in from Mexico to the United States. And it's a way of kind of saying, hey, no one's going to buy your products made in Mexico in the United States because they're going to cost so much. And so you could use this in a way to encourage and people to buy American goods, to protect domestic industries. You could use it as a bargaining chip, and those are things that, some tariffs might be helpful. But there's the other side to the coin. And what is the danger? Well, one danger, of course, is if one nation does tariffs, other nations will do it as well. And one of the more significant tariffs that kind of really hurt the economy was the Smoot-Hawley tariff back in 1930. So this was during the Great Depression, and we raised duties on hundreds of goods, that led to other countries imposing tariffs on our goods. And it kind of created a global trade plummeting, right? And it worsened the economic crisis of the time, because it kind of suffocated global trade. Ever since pretty much Industrial Revolution, what happens in one part of the world impacts the other world. And so you get into these trade wars that could cause a problem. The other thing tariffs can do on the negative side is it could cause inflation, right? Because let's say again, if you're making goods and we buy a lot of stuff, whether we like it or not, from China or some other place, and we buy these goods from other places, and we need that stuff. Let's say it's something that we don't make a lot of in the United States, right? And we buy the goods from those other nations, then it's going to cost more in the U.S. to buy them. And does the U.S. make those things? So sometimes it's strategic about using tariffs. Maybe you do a tariff on things that we make a lot of in the United States and you want the US to buy them, but you probably wouldn't want to put a tariff on things that are made exclusively overseas because if we want them here, it's just going to cost and there isn't even an American alternative to it. And so, this is the end of the story of tariffs. It could be positives, it could be negatives, it could definitely protect some of the domestic things, but it could also be dangerous depending on how you use it. So it's a matter, I think, of they're not good or bad. It's a matter of degree and how you use them, how you strategically use them. And that's kind of what tariffs are about. So hopefully that helped you kind of understand it a bit. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think tariffs are good? Do you think tariffs are bad? Whatever you think is great. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. I hope that was informative. Have a great day, everyone.